All right, guys, so I think I've stated before in past videos when it comes to the whole Russia and Ukraine thing, how I really don't like talking about it anymore because it's hard to really know exactly what is going on over there, right? There's so much misinformation slash disinformation. Things are so slanted in Western media in regards to what's actually happening that we really just don't know, okay? There's been so many fake stories coming out of Ukraine that, you know, are painting a certain type of narrative about what's going on over there that's not entirely true, okay? So it's hard to really talk about something when you don't really know the facts, and it's hard to get the facts because so much misinformation is out there, right? And I'm pretty sure I'm not the only person that feels this way and that has become skeptical of what we're being told, specifically again in Western media, about what is happening over there. Okay, so that being said, UFC fighter Bryce Mitchell, who is often outspoken on politics, has spoken out on this Ukraine Russia issue, and he's saying some things I think a lot of people will agree with, okay? But before we get in, I just want to let you guys know, if you like my channel, you like my commentary, and you want to support my channel and my commentary, you can do so using the links in the description below. You support the Patreon, you support the PayPal, you support the merch. There are multiple ways to support the channel if you like to do so, including getting one of my signature racist mugs, which is a daily reminder of the 2022 definition of racist according to the left, which is anybody who disagrees with the Democrat Party. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into Bryce Mitchell sounding off on the misinformation that we're being fed about what's going on in Ukraine and Russia, and also calling out Joe Biden in the process. Take a look.
Well, I just wanted to get your thoughts on the whole Russia and Ukraine situation.
You know, here's my first thought is I'm not going nowhere to fight none of these wars for these politicians. I'm staying at home, and when the war comes to Arkansas, I will dig my boots in the ground and I will die for everything I love, and I will not retreat. If this country's invaded and everybody's saying, well, we gotta evacuate, we gotta leave, I will not. I will dig my boots in the Arkansas soil, and I will fight for the people that I love, for the land that I love, and the way of life that I love. But I'm not going overseas to fight. I don't know what's going on, to be honest, brother. I really don't. There's so much stuff, and I don't think nobody knows what's going on fully. There's been so much political corruption in that area. You got Biden and his son making a shit ton of money off of and using our tax dollars to bribe their people. That's treasonous, in my opinion. So you got Hunter Biden and his son using our tax dollars. Hey, if Ukrainian government, if you don't do this, we're taking your tax dollars. He shouldn't be giving our tax dollars to that country anyway. We got veterans out here sleeping on the street, and you're going to give our freaking tax dollars to these Ukrainians and all. Brother, I don't know what's going on over there, but I'm not going over there and fighting, and God bless anybody that's over there fighting, and I hope that the shit just gets solved. And, man, I don't like war. You know what I mean? I don't want people dying and all that stuff. I don't want to be, but I don't know what's going on. There's so much stuff that I think that's corrupted that we just don't know what's truly going on over there. And I pray all those people are safe.
Yeah, I mean, that is what America First is, right? I mean, what he's saying is essentially what America First embodies, okay? It's like, listen, you know, look, we don't know what's going on over there, okay? Because there's been a whole lot of propaganda that has been perpetuated by the mainstream liberal media, Western media, okay? And a lot of that stuff has just turned out not to be true, okay? We just simply don't know. We don't know anything. I mean, Kyiv was supposed to fall like last week, right? It was supposed to fall last week. Again, that's not to say that, you know, there's not fighting going on there, but I'm just saying, you know, if you listen to the mainstream liberal media, you know, there's some things that were supposed to happen that just haven't happened. I mean, there's been so many different stories, you know, when it comes to Snake Island, the ghost of Kyiv. Like, there's so many different stories that have just been debunked and just proven it just to be false, just flat out propaganda, okay? Just flat out propaganda. I mean, we don't even have a solid number on how many Russian troops have died, right? Or how many Ukrainian troops have died. I mean, when it comes to Russian casualties, right? Russia came out, their defense ministry said they, you know, had about 500 casualties or so as of like 3 days ago, okay? Ukraine is saying, no, they killed over 5,300 Russian troops, right? So Ukraine is saying over 5,000, Russia's saying about 500. I mean, which one is it, right? Which one is it? Okay, that's a big difference right there, okay? Those numbers aren't even close. I don't know what to believe, right? Because again, if you believe the Western media and Ukraine. It's like, oh, Ukraine is staging this amazing, like impossible, like pushback against the Russian soldiers, and you know, they're killing so much of them, and they're taking down all their planes and all this other stuff, right? But then on the other side of it, when it comes to Russia, it's really hard to know exactly what their side of the story is because it's being blocked out, right? You don't have the ability to actually hear about that side in Western media. In fact, there was a very, very, very disturbing story that came out about a high school teacher, a substitute teacher that actually got suspended for telling his students that, hey, you know, he can understand why Russia decided to invade Ukraine from a foreign policy perspective. Take a look.
In the schools, they're suspending a substitute teacher for trying to push Russian propaganda on students.
The incident is raising a lot of questions in the community. Fox 5's Maureen Ume is live outside Swanson Middle School where this happened with the story. Maureen, good morning. Still a lot to clear up here, huh?
All right. Yeah. Good morning to both of you. I just spoke to the substitute teacher, John Stanton, who's offered a little more clarity about what happened here. He says this was on Friday during a world studies class, world languages class, Spanish. He says he went off script for about 10 minutes to talk to the students about what was happening between Russia and Ukraine, and said that he talked about how he can understand Russia's point of view when it came to attacking Ukraine based on their world perception and their geographics, so to speak. Well, Stanton tells me that he was told that a student recorded him, and then that student showed the recording to their parents, who went to school officials, and without anyone talking to him, he says he received a letter yesterday that he had been suspended. Stanton says he is not pro-Russian. He says he was trying to offer an alternative viewpoint of what was happening in Russia and Ukraine. He says he's lived in Russia and is a journalist who's always observing and asking questions. Now, Stanton says he did encourage his students to seek information sources from both the West and East before forming opinions. And now he did respond to the letter received from Arlington school officials, writing in part this. He says, more was expected of young people long ago. Sheltering them and feeding them one-sided information is a grave mistake with long-term consequences. Now, Stanton does have a very lengthy resume, and as I pointed out in my earlier reports, he has written for some pro-Russia propaganda outlets like Pravda, but he says he counters that he's also written for pro-democracy outlets like Counterpunch, and so there is really quite a balance. Again, he says he's a journalist who observes and writes about things in his long career. He says he's 65 years old, has no intention of re-seeking his job here at Swanson Middle School because at this point he says he believes it's a lost cause. He says he's a writer, and that's what he'll continue to do. Back to you.
All right, Maureen, thanks very much.
Yeah, so this substitute teacher simply told his students that, hey, you know, maybe you should pay attention to Western media sources and Eastern media sources in order to get a real understanding of what's going on and get a clear picture of what's going on, right? And I think that teacher makes a great point by talking about how dangerous it is to feed kids one-sided information, right? To basically tell one side of the story and that's it. Okay, again, it reminds me of the Iraq War. Okay, after 9/11, they told us that, hey, you know, Saddam Hussein, you know, he has weapons of mass destruction. Okay, and they tried to kind of tie that in with 9/11 as well, too, even though they couldn't really substantiate exactly what Saddam Hussein had to do with 9/11. Okay, they claim it was what Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan or something like that, right? Which was our excuse for going into Afghanistan. But I'm just saying, right? They said Saddam had weapons of mass destruction, okay? And they used that and 9/11 in order to get the American people behind going into Iraq and destabilizing that country, okay? So lo and behold, we go into Iraq and we take out Saddam Hussein. And we create a power vacuum in the Middle East, right? In Iraq. Now, ISIS rises up out of that. And next thing we know, we're fighting this forever war in Iraq. And we're doing this all behind a lie, right? A lie that was told to us by the American government, right? Propaganda that was fed to us by the American government, by Western media, okay? So again, that's not to say that what we're being told about what's going on in Ukraine and Russia isn't true, right? Some of it isn't true. Or even a majority of it isn't true. I'm just saying I am skeptical when you have politicians like Joe Biden, okay, going back to what the UFC fighter was saying at the beginning of this video, that, you know, have had, you know, business dealings in Ukraine. Okay, they have special interests in Ukraine. Okay, I'm just saying that type of stuff really does make me think long and hard about, okay, what is actually going on here? Okay, we got other politicians like Lindsey Graham saying reckless things about Putin, right? Essentially trying to drive this country into World War III. You got people waving Ukrainian flags everywhere, okay? I mean, the State of the Union was basically the state of Ukraine, in my opinion, okay? With all the Ukrainian flags. I mean, you would think that the Ukrainian flag is the American flag. I mean, there's pictures of the politicians basically desecrating the American flag by trying to combine it with the Ukrainian flag, okay? I mean, it's stuff like that. It's just like, I have questions. I have questions because the only time that these politicians really agree with each other is when it comes to war and bailing out corporate America, okay? And really, war is just an extension of bailing out corporate America, okay? Because that's what war is about. It's about the military-industrial complex and keeping their pockets fat, right? So they're trying to do whatever they can do to tug at the heartstrings of Americans in order to get us behind more interference and involvement in Ukraine, okay? And the only people who profit from that and benefit from that are these politicians that have these special interests in big corporate America, okay? So I'm just very, very, very skeptical about a lot of this stuff. I think what a UFC fighter was saying is the same sentiments that a lot of people kind of have about what's going on over there. And I get very, very, very concerned when you have teachers that are being suspended simply for giving an alternative view on, you know, hey, what might be happening over there and how, you know, a certain country might feel about what's happening, right? I really think that we're heading in a direction that feels a whole lot like post 9/11, okay, in terms of just flat out propaganda being directed towards us, that 20 years down the road, we're going to find out that a lot of it really was just, again, propaganda. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.